questions. I don't think I have from anybody. So that means you're understanding the material. Glad to see that. And if you noticed, I went ahead and printed me off some bell curves, just like the one or two people in here that did it, because I get tired of drawing the curve. I don't know about y'all, but I get tired of it. So I went and right before class, I printed me out some curves so I can draw on them. And I use the red one. That way I don't have to write all the percentages down. So with that being said, let's go ahead and continue on with 7.1 and 7.2. Let me get a new marker. I don't know if this one's a new one or not. And we're going to find the probability of x being greater than, and you can use equal to, and we're going to do 1.76. And then we're going to do, and we'll do that in, I didn't use a color, I'm sorry. We'll do that in green. Okay, and let's do orange. Let's do the probability of x being less than or equal to negative 0.75. And then in blue, we will do probability of x being between negative 0.25 and 1.5. Okay, so there's 3 problems that you could have on the test. And this is a review of what we did last week. Okay, we're reviewing. Didn't we do something like this? Didn't we do above, below, and between? Didn't we do that?
We did above and below, but ran out of time to do between.
Okay, well, it's still a review because we're going over these 2. Okay, so we'll put that one in. Now remember, on the lower side, thank you, Ms. Cameron. On the lower side, this right here is negative infinity. And this up here is positive infinity. But we can't use infinities in the calculator. So we're going to use negative 9999 and positive 9999. Now you can use 10,000. You can use 101,000. You can use 999,999. You can use 900,000. You can use 1 million. I don't care what you use. I just use the 9s because it's easy to remember, 9999. All right. You just have to use a BA number that's above 100, and chances are it'll be all right. Okay. So that's all that. So let's go ahead and do the green. Well, 1.76. Well, let's go ahead and fill out the bottom. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So 1.76. There's 1.5 right there. So 1.75 would be right there. So 1.76 would be a little bit to the right of that dot. .76. And we want the area above 1.76. So by the empirical rule, we could guess that I would try to color, but I'm not very good at staying inside the lines. I guess that's why I have a pepper/chocolate personality. Okay, I don't fit inside the lines very well. Any of y'all like that? Don't fit inside the lines? Okay, so there's that. And if you add up 0.15 and 2.35, that's 2.5. And then technically this is a fourth. 0.25 is about a fourth. Divide 4 into 13, you get 4 or 3. So I'm going to say it's around 8%. So by the empirical rule, I'm going to say squiggly equal sign with a dot over it. I'm going to say it's around 0.0800 or 8%. Now that's rough estimation using the empirical rule. And now we're going to do it on the handy dandy calculator. And which way do we read? Okay, nobody's going to talk to me. You're mad at me. Why are you mad at me? I ain't done anything. Okay. Y'all kind of hot and cold. One minute y'all talk to me, the next minute y'all won't talk to me. I would say something, but I'm not going to say it because most of the class is female, and I don't think I would be very popular if I said that, but nobody's going to say anything. Just give me the silent treatment. Okay. Second, VARS. Normal CDF. Which way do we read? Left to right. So where does the green area start? Miss Cameron, you didn't fall back to sleep, did you?
No, sorry, that took me a second. It starts at 1.76.
Yep. So 1.76. And where does it end? It really doesn't. So you type in 9999. Now I said 0.0800, and that's a rough estimate. Let's see how close I am. Ooh, I really suck. It's a whole lot less than that. It's like 4%. I said it was 8%, so I'm really off. So 0.0392. So the answer by z-score is equal to 0.0392, and that is our answer. Okay. All right, now I want y'all to do the orange. I want you to do the orange now. Go ahead, and we're going to do it on the same graph. Kind of save me some drawing. And I'll draw it on here for you. 0.75, negative 0.75 is right in here. Negative 0.75. So they want this area right there. Okay. So take a minute and figure out what that one is in the orange. Okay, by the empirical rule, we see 0.15, 2.35, and 13.5. Well, the 13.5 and 2.5 is 16. And let's see, 34 divided into 4 parts, because this is a quarter basically, because 3/4 is this way, so that would leave a quarter. So 34 divided is 8. So I'm going to say 8 plus I said 16, 24. So I'm going to say that by the empirical rule, I'm going to say it's around 0.2400. So I'm going to take my handy dandy calculator. I'm going to hit second, bars, normal, CDF. Which way do we read? Left to right. So negative 99999 to what? Negative 0.76 or 75. And let's see what we get. 0.2266. So I was closer on that one. 0.2266. So by the z-score, we get 0.2266. 23%, which I said 24. So that's your answer. Okay, now in blue, we're going to do negative 0.25. Negative 0.25 and 1.5. Okay, well, half of 13 is 6. So this is 6.5% and 34%. And this is a fourth of, so a fourth of 30 would be 8. So 8 and 34 is 42. And 42, 48.5. So I'm going to say, by the empirical rule, 0.4850. That's by the empirical rule. And I'm going to put a dot there because equal sign with a dot means that you're guessing. A good guess. Oops, sorry. There we go. I don't think I have this on the right resolution. No, I do not. There we go. Okay, so second, bars, normal CDF, negative 0.25, negative 0.25, and 1.5, and calculate. .5319. So I was a little bit off on that one. So by the z-score, we get 0.5319. Okay, so that's 3 problems that you're going to see either in 7.1 or the first part of 7.2. You're going to have one that asks you for anything above. You're going to have one type of question that'll ask you for anything below. And then you'll also have a question that will ask you in between. And that's with, hold on, let me get my red pen. That's with mu equal to 0 and a standard deviation of 1. And that's one type of question you would have in chapter 7. Mu is equal to 0 and sigma is equal to 1. And that's how you get the z-scores on the bottom. Any question on these type questions? Okay.
New Facebook.
Nobody's going to say anything, so that means.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, what's your question?
Okay, so for the last problem, when you put it in the calculator, you put the negative with it?
Negative 0.25 to 1.5. Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Did you put, for the second one, the negative 0.75, did you put it in the calculator as a negative?
I should have. Let's check it. Well, it's right here. I don't know if I can actually. Let me hit enter and see. Yeah, negative 0.75 right there.
So you're putting that as the lower?
As the upper. See, the lower is negative 9999. Upper is negative 0.75. I'll go ahead and do it again. Second, vars, normal CDF. Lower is negative 9999. Upper is negative 0.75. Paste and enter. 0.2266.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now there's another type question you're going to see in 7.1, and it's just one question by itself, but it's going to be used in 7.2. And this is the way the question will be asked. It'll say, given the probability of an event is equal to 0.6988. What is the corresponding z-score? So in the past, in the last problems, you were given z-scores and you find the area. Here, what are you given?
A single value, which is the area.
Given the area, and they're wanting the what? Given the area, and they want the what?
The range. I don't know if that's the word
The
for it.
z-score. I think that's what you're talking about, the number.
Yes.
They're wanting the z-score. Okay, in the previous problems, in this problem, they give us, given the z-score, find the area, or find the probability, or find the whatever, okay? So here they give you the z-score, and you find the area. In this type question, you're given the area, and they want the z-score. So where is 0.69? We're just going to call it 0.7 because that 8 bumps that 0.69 up to 7. So for the empirical rule, I'm going to use 0.7. Okay. For the empirical rule, I'm just going to use 0.7 because there's no way in Hades that I'm going to be able to sketch with the empirical rule 0.6988. There's no way. Heck, my daggum tip of my red marker is wider than 10,000ths of a unit, which that's 10, hundreds, thousandths, 10,000ths. 10,000ths would be like the width of a hair. Okay, this is daggum. This ain't no width of a hair. That tip on that, there's no reason for me to even try to draw to the 10,000th. Okay, so I'm going to just raise it. I'm just going to, for the empirical rule, I'm going to use 0.7. So this is 0.5, right? Halfway is 0.5. So I think we understand that. And this is 84%, 0.8400, because 34 plus 50 is 84, and we read from left to right. So half of 14 is what? Or 34 is 17. So 17 would give us 67. And that would be halfway. So looks like 0.7 is going to be somewhere in here. Okay. And that's this area right here. Point 6988. But we don't know that z-score. So we've got to find that z-score. Good news is it's real easy to do in your calculator. Here we go. When you want to find the z-score for a given area, you hit second, vars, inverse norm. Second, vars, inverse norm. And click on enter. And what is our area? 0.6988. Now, what did I think it was? What do I think it is with the empirical rule? Well, I think it's going to be between 0 and 1. -1, -2, -3. And I think it's going to be greater than 0.5. So I'm going to say it's going to be 1.7. By the empirical rule, I say it's going to be 1.6 or 1.7. So let's see what it comes out to be. Go to paste, enter, and enter. Oh, I'm sorry, 0.6 or 0.7, sorry. I thought it was 1 point, sorry. 0.6 or 0.7. It comes out to be a little bit over 0.5, 0.52. So by the inverse norm, I get 0.52, and that is my z-score. So when you're given an area and you need to find a z-score, you use inverse norm. Question. And that leaves us, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
On my calculator, my inverse norm has like extra information on it. It has something called the tail,
Okay.
and then it says center or right.
Okay, this would be left tail because it's on the left side.
Right.
So you would put left tail.
Okay.
And it should give you 0.52.
Yeah, okay, it did.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the second type question. So we've got our third type. This is 7.1, 7.2, the first types of problems where the mean is equal to 0 and the standard deviation is equal to 1. Okay, and they will ask greater than, less than, and between. So that's one type question that you might have. The other type question is given a probability, percentage, or area, because it'll call them all three. What is the z-score? That's the second type problem you'd have in chapter 7. And the third type is the mean is equal to 100. Standard deviation is equal to 20. Now it's going to be different numbers. It may be 90 and 30. It may be 110 and 10. But it's not going to be 0 and 1. Okay, so the first thing you do is when you see one of these, you're going to have to go ahead and figure your scale on the bottom. So that's going to be 100, 120, 140, 160, 80, 60, and 40. Okay, so that's the difference between the type of problem that we did a few minutes ago and this type problem is the numbers on the z-score, they're not going to be z-scores anymore. Now they're x. In other words, a test score of 120 or a test score of 80. And we want to know, the question will say, find the test score, probability of a test score being greater than or equal to 140. The probability, and we'll do that in, we'll do that in blue. And what is the probability of a test score being less than? Probability of a test score being less than 40. And then what is the probability of a test score being between 80 and 120? So here you've got the same type problem, except the difference is you have 120. Now, the good news is if you have a fairly new calculator, it will do this for you. Okay, if you have a decent new calculator, the newer calculators will do this for you. If not, you have to know these two formulas. And I'm going to write them in red. Z-score, which you already know. Z is equal to X minus mu over standard deviation. And X is equal to Oz plus mu. Now, usually before I can get finished talking, people, I don't know if I got a new calculator. I don't know. Well, just hold on and I'll show you. Okay? So here we've got to find, let's go ahead and draw our graph. 140, greater than 140. That would be this one right here. And by the empirical rule, I would say 5%. Or 0.0500. And our orange is less than 40. And that would be 0.15%. Or 0.0015. No, 0.00. Yeah, that'd be right. I think it would. Okay, and then in between would be between 80 and 120. Well, that's not too hard. By the empirical rule, that's 68%. By the empirical rule, 68%, or 0.6800. Now, here's how you do it if you have an older calculator. You've got to turn each one of these into a z-score. So with that being said, the orange is going to be 40 minus 100 over 20. And 40 minus 100 is negative 60. And negative 60 divided by 20 is negative 3. So my z-score for 40 is equal to negative 3. Okay? My z-score for my green, or my blue, sorry, 140 minus 100 over 20. And that's equal to 40 over 20, which is equal to 2. So 140 is equal to a z-score of 2. And then the green, 80 minus 100 over 20. And 120 minus 100 over 20. And they both come out to be 1 and negative 1. And there's your z-scores there. So if you've got an old calculator, you would type in, we're going to do the blue first. If you got an old calculator, you hit second bars, second normal CDF, enter. And left to right, that would be a 2 to infinity, 9999, and paste. I said it was going to be around, what, 0.05? Let's see what it comes out to be. Oh, I'm sorry, 2.5. I read the dang thing wrong. 2 point, it's supposed to be 2.5. This is 2.5, not 5%. And it comes out to be 0.25. It comes out to be, by the z-score, 0.0228. 0.0228. Now, if you got a new calculator, you don't have to change it into a z-score. If you have a new calculator, this is what you do. Second, vars, normal CDF. And if you can change the mean and the standard deviation, do it. So from 140 to infinity, and my mean is 100, and my standard deviation is 20. And same thing. So if you've got a newer calculator, it will do it for you. And this is a TI 84 Plus Silver Edition on this online calculator. So it's fairly old. Okay, let's do the orange. So if you've got an old calculator, you're going to have to change that into a z-score, which we did. And you would type in, if I could get to the, there. So I'm going to type in -3 and -9999. So second, vars. And I'm going to go from -9999 and we said it would be -3. And I said it would come out to be 0.15 or 0.0015. Oop, I'm going to change that to 0 and 1 because we got an old calculator. Enter. 0.0013. So 0.0013 by z-score. 0.0013. Now we're going to check it with a newer calculator. And the newer calculator, you don't have to calculate the z-score. You just go in there and change the mean and standard deviation. So I'm going to go from -9999 to 40 IQ test. And the mean is 100. And the standard deviation is 20. That did no calculating. All I did was just punch and plug and chug. And it comes out to be the same exact answer. Okay, now let's do in between. Now in between, we got a score of -1 to +1. So that's symmetrical. So you could say 34 times 2 is 68, and that would be it. Excuse me. Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to go from second, vars, normal CDF. I'm going from -1 to +1, and mean is equal to 0. Standard deviation is equal to 1. .6827. 0.6827 is what the z-score gave me. 0.6827. 0.6827. You have a newer calculator, second, VARS, normal CDF, and you would type in 80 to 120. And change the mean to 100 and the standard deviation to 20. Same thing. So this video is a pretty good video for Chapter 7 because I'm covering everything that's in Chapter 7 and how to do it on a calculator for the one person that's going to watch it. Now there's only one more problem that you're going to have. And this is kind of like this one right here, except it's going to ask you for the test score. So they'll give you the mean is equal to 100, the standard deviation is equal to 20, mean is equal to 100, standard deviation is equal to 20, and they'll give you a big spiel on what maybe test scores or IQ test or whatever. And they want to know what test score represents the 75th percentile. And it might be written as 0.7500, or it could be written as P with a 75 subscript under it. Okay, what test score represents 75%? Now, the first thing you're going to have to do, you're going to have to find the 75th percentile or draw it in there as best you could. Now, this is going to be 100, 120, 140, 160, 80, 60, 40. We know that this arrowhead is called negative infinity or negative 9999. And this one is positive infinity 9999. Now, the good thing about the newer calculator, it will tell us the answer, It will tell us the answer because all we have to do is type in the probability and the mean and the standard deviation. But an older calculator, you're going to have to do a little bit more handwork. Okay. First of all, we need to find where 75th percentile is. The 75th percentile, well, we know that this is 81. Let's see, this is 50. 84 is right here. That's 84%. So I'm going to say that the 75th percentile is about in the middle, maybe. .7500. Okay. And we don't have a z-score for the old calculator. And we don't have a real score with the new calculator because we haven't typed it in yet. So we got to do inverse norm. inverse norm, and 0.7500. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with an old calculator. Second, bars, inverse norm. Now notice I could change the mean and standard deviation on this calculator, but some of you can't. Well, I can't change it. So, and that's going to be 0.7500. Yeah, I can change it. But let's say I can't. Let's say this is an old calculator. And hit paste. And our z-score is 0.67. So you need to write your z-score is equal to 0.67. Now remember the other formula I gave you was x is equal to Oz plus mu. So x is equal to 20 times 0.67 plus 120. 100. So you would take your handy dandy calculator and you would do 20 times 0.67 and then add that to 100. So that score is 113.4. 113.4 is the answer. Now, if your calculator is a newer calculator and you can change the mean and the standard deviation, then second bars, inverse norm, 0.75, and now I'm going to type in 120 and hit paste. And there it is, 113.5. Now, you need to discern whether you have an old calculator or a new calculator. Like I said, this one is fairly old. This one that I'm using on the online screen, it's pretty old. I can remember this one being on there 3 or 4 years ago. So it's doing it, and it's a TI 84 Plus Silver Edition. So make sure what kind of calculator you got. Now, I have just went over 4 types of questions. Let's go over them again. There is the, here we go. Let me just get them all out of the way. Mu is equal to 0 with a standard deviation of 1. They're going to ask you less than, greater than, or in the middle. And it is a z-score, so that means that you're giving them an area. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a, yeah, z-score, and they're giving you an area, you're giving us an area. Okay, the other type question that they might give you in 7 is a question where they give you the area and you have to calculate the z-score. Oops, that's the wrong one. Here it is. Given that the probability of an event is 0.6988, what is the z-score? And then the next type question will be the same type as the previous, greater than, less than, equal, between, but this time mu is equal to 100 and standard deviation is equal to 20. If you have a new calculator, then you don't have to worry about it. You just type in what you know. If you do not have a newer calculator, you're going to have to fall back on these two formulas. And then the last is the masking for the test score, which is X. And when they ask for a test score, they're wanting X. And again, if you have a new calculator, then all you have to type in is the 00, and mu is 100 and standard deviation is 20, and it will spit out the 113.4. If you don't have a calculator, your newer calculator, then you're going to have to find the z-score and plug that z-score into Oz plus mu. Now, the reason I just went over everything again is because if you go back to this video is a good video for you to go back and rewind and rewind and rewind for the one person that's going to use it. Okay? So, for the chapter 4, 5 test, or whatever chapter we're on, I can't remember, 6, 7, you've got, hold on, we're going to just go over everything now. For the chapter 6 and 7 test, for chapter 6, 6.1, you got the probability distribution, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0.01, 0.09, 0.40, 0.50, and 0.0000. And you got to find the mean, which is equal to the summation of x times p of x. And you got to find the standard deviation, which is the square root of x, x squared times summation of x squared times p of x, subtract mu squared. Okay? And 6.2, you've still got NPX by second bars. It should be second bars normal. Let's see. Binomial PDF is precise. I don't know how to spell precise. I don't know if it's PRE or PER. I don't know. And then binomial CDF for cumulative. And then if you are not in the section where you're doing the binomial PDF and CDF, you may be just in the n is equal to, or mu is equal to x times P, and then the variance is equal to XPQ, and of course the square root of the variance is the standard deviation, which would be the square root of X NPQ. That's supposed to be NP, sorry. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 type questions for this test. Six type questions. Who's got questions?
I have one about the inverse norm.
Okay, what's your question?
So in my calculator, like I mentioned, it has the left tail, center, and right tail. What would a problem look like if we were calculating something that was centered or to the right?
They would ask what area, or area is equal to 0.3200, and they want to know the lowest score possible for 32%. So if you draw it on a number line, I meant here, 32 above lowest score at 32%. That means your lowest score, that means greater than, right? So this would be a right tail. This would be a right tail. So you would type in second VARS, I don't forget what it's called, probability, or let's see, what's it called? Normal CDF, I mean inverse norm, sorry. Second VARS, inverse norm, and you would type in 0.3200, and of course you put, you can change on yours, can you change mu in the standard deviation?
Yes.
Okay, then you would put 120, and then you would put right tail. And then, see, mine is giving me, see, I have an older calculator. So mine is giving me 32% right here because it reads left to what? Left to right. So it's giving me this 32% right here. Okay, your calculator, if it has a right tail on it, then you are saying, I want the 32% to be above the point. And that's what the right tail tells you. So it would be, you know, whatever it comes out to be, but it should work on right tail.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And
What about
center,
the center?
what center would be between? You won't see one with center too much. Not on my test, you won't. I don't think you will. But it would have something like between or center. It would say between the two scores. Between what two scores? That's what it would be. It would say between or center, between what two scores is 0.3370, and you would type in 3370 and you would say two tails. and it would put that 3700 in the middle.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to let y'all go a few minutes early, but I'm through with 6 and 7. So that means that Thursday, I'm probably going to either answer questions on homework or I'm going to show you the test. That's based on y'all. And I don't think I had anything today. I'll check right quick and look. Got to pull up the attendance anyway. $120. Okay, Miss Brooke, you sent me one. I didn't see it till just now. Let's see. This is 6.2, 13, 41/13. I didn't see it.
You might have answered that last week when we went over it, because I sent that a while ago.
Yeah, we did. We covered that one. I didn't delete it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. But the whole point is either y'all are not doing squat or you're doing squat and you understand everything. And that's good also. But I don't know. I have my fears that some people have put off the homework and they're going to try to do 4 sections of homework in the next day or two. I have a feeling some of y'all are in that boat. But anyway, let me turn this off and go to the handy dandy, turn the recorder off and go to the handy dandy